What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. So, there's a topic that I wanted to discuss tonight because it's something that's really popular on YouTube. And it gets a lot of views, and a lot of people seem to agree with it. And it's something that I firmly disagree with. And this topic is that social media has ruined relationships, that it's ruined dating. I guess I have a little bit more of an optimistic viewpoint on this, and I want to share it with you guys. So, first of all, the claim that most of these people are making, for lack of a better term, I guess I can just sum it up by saying that they're basically telling you that social media is hypergamy on steroids. So, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that thanks to social media, women have access to a bigger, better deal, a guy that's better than you 24/7, right? So basically the claim that people are making is that relationships just don't work because women have too many options. And how are you going to measure up when they have options with so many men out there? Anyways, I think that's a really stupid claim. I understand where it comes from, and I understand the rationalization behind it, but I just don't see it being true. And I want to explain this to you guys. And look, the reason why I want to explain this to you guys is because everyone that's saying that is also offering you a solution, and the solution that they're offering you is a course that teaches you how to beef up your Instagram and set up a Tinder profile. And they're telling you to do things like take a picture with your friends having fun so it's social proof. Take a picture next to a Lamborghini so it looks like you have money and you're high value. Take a picture in a suit so you look like you're high status. Take a picture with 25 hot bikini butt babes so you trigger pre-selection. They're telling you to do all of this shit, and that's just ridiculous. If you think you have to do all that shit, and if you think that social media has caused hypergamy to get so out of control that that's the only way you can compete, you have to understand you're going down the wrong path. And the reason why I say this is because that is sugar daddy game. Sugar daddy game is beta male game to a T. You're trying to lure a girl in by showing her how awesome you are, how much money you have, and what you can do and provide for her. Okay, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go down that path, and that's where they're all leading you. But that's besides the point. I want to go a completely different direction in this video, and you'll see where I'm going. So, I come from a time period. I come from a generation where millennials, right? The millennial generation, where in our teenage years, we didn't have social media. In fact, the iPhone came out when I was 21 years old. And social media didn't really get off and running until around 2010. It came out around 2007 or so, but it didn't really get that running start until iPhone and Samsung had their war going on, which was right around 2010 when that started. Now, I was in a relationship in that time period, so when social media first hit, I didn't have a chance to experience the dating market. But in 2015, I found myself single for the first time. And let me tell you the difference between not having social media and having social media. So, when I met the girl that I was with prior to social media, I guess we met right around when social media was coming out, but in that time period, here's how the game worked. And the game has never changed. Okay, the game that men and women play works like this. And you can call this game, you can call it pickup, you can call it whatever you want. But we're not talking about playing games here. It's just very simple. This is how it works. There's a 3-step process, and there's one rule. The 3 steps are, number 1, get her phone number. And Usually you get her phone number by giving her your phone number and telling her to call you. And when she calls you, now you have her phone number. Number 2, you set up a date when the two of you are going to meet. And number 3, when you meet, you escalate. And you could escalate things to marriage. You could escalate things to more dates. You could escalate things to having a hot and heavy night, whatever you want to do, right? But it's in your control to escalate things. So those are the 3 steps, and the one rule is strike while the iron is hot. So if you see an attractive woman checking you out, the iron is hot. You have to strike right now. 10 minutes from now is too late. You know, if you get her number, you have to set up a date right now. You can't text back and forth for 2 weeks. Set up a freaking date. And the reason why you have to strike while the iron is hot is because women treat you based on how excited they are by you. And excitement comes from spontaneity. I don't even know if I pronounced that word correctly. Spontaneity? Being spontaneous? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Fuck it, whatever. But excitement comes from being spontaneous. So when you walk up to a woman and ask her for her number or give her your number, that's spontaneous. That's exciting. When you call her, she calls you, and you set up a date, and you just go straight for it, set up a date, that's spontaneous. That's exciting. You know, the first kiss is exciting, right? So it's spontaneous. That's what you need to have. And we naturally understood that prior to having social media. Men just understood that. You know, it was just something we naturally got. So, you know, there's a cute girl over there checking you out. You walk over, you talk to her, get her number, give her your number, whatever, and make things happen. There was no texting. There was no DMing. You know, there was no adding each other on social media. You had to strike while the iron was hot. And, you know, if you wait, sorry, you snooze, you lose. It's over with. So anyways, I'm single again in 2015. And this is right dead smack in the middle of, like, when social media was really, like, gaining momentum, and people were really optimistic in this time period. You know, it was just a very, very positive and optimistic time period. The 2010s were. So the first thing that I noticed being single again was that every hot woman in your town who is single is on Tinder, and she's looking to have a good time. She wants to hook up. She's looking for somebody to ask her out. She's looking for somebody to invite her over. They all were. In 2015, in terms of dating culture, hookup culture, dating and relationships, this was peak years. All right, so if you were around in this time period, that's where it was. Like, it was popping off like crazy. But my generation of millennials, you got to think in 2010, I was 24 years old. So 2015, 29, late 20s. People in my generation still operated from the old school traditional way of doing things, right? It's strike while the iron's hot. It's I got to get her number. I got to set up a date. You know, I got to escalate. So we were using social media, the fact that we had access to all these women, and we were just getting results left and right. I mean, it was the easiest thing. I couldn't believe how easy it was. It just made no sense that getting a date, getting laid, getting whatever it was you were looking for was this easy. I'm older now and I don't really promote hookup culture and all that anymore, but I'm saying I did go through it, right? I couldn't believe how easy it was. It was unreal. They all wanted to hook up. But there is something that I've noticed from younger people. And I'm talking people that are probably, I'd say, born after the year maybe 1992, 1993, anytime after that, they are, how do I put this? They have only operated under the frame of social media. Okay, they never operated under that traditional frame. So what they're doing is they're not taking the steps, right? They're not getting the phone number. They're not setting up the date. They're not escalating things. They're not striking while the iron's hot. Instead, they're adding people on social media. And the thing about this is they're all trying to learn game and social media game, right? Like, well, maybe if I beef up my Instagram and I look cool and I look rich, and then I learn PUA and learn how to text and, be sexual and all that, maybe it'll work. But the thing about that is, even if you look great on your social media profile and your text game is quote unquote really good, and you know how to turn women on and talk to them a certain way, if you're taking a long time to do that, you're taking away that element of spontaneity. I really am kind of slow, I'm gonna be honest with you. Spontaneity. Am I even pronouncing that right? I'm like brain dead right now. I don't know what's going on. But you take away that element of spontaneity, and you're just like texting her for 2 weeks. And I'm telling you, I've experienced this myself. Anytime I meet a woman, anytime we exchange phone numbers, and I set up a date right then and there, like I get her number today, I set up a date tomorrow for 2 days after that. And that's really the only communication. She's always in. She's always excited about it. She always wants to do it. And damn near every time that I'm like just texting back and forth, we're just texting, talking, flirting back and forth, exchanging pictures and shit like that, it always dies out. Within a week or two, it's like one of us goes. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes she's like, what happened? Where'd you go? It just got boring. My fault. I should have escalated things quicker. I let myself fall out of love with you. I apologize. No, but seriously, that's the way it works, right? And I think this newer generation, they don't quite understand that. They want to have these like almost parasocial relationships with women. They want to meet hot girls and add them on social media and be like pen pals, internet boyfriend and girlfriend. And then eventually they want to escalate things, but they've waited too long, so it just doesn't work. But on top of that, going back to the timeline thing. So right around 2010, when social media was really getting that running start, and we still had that traditional mindset, but we brought it to social media, and we were just really getting these great results. It really did something to us. It was such an optimistic and it was just such a pleasant time period to be around. People were very excited about, it wasn't just dating and relationships. If you even think about politics, think of the general optimism and excitement and just the general attitudes of the people. Like in 2010, think of elections, like the Obama election. Really, even conservatives didn't really care. Like nobody, looking back, people didn't really hate Obama back then. Like it was, I don't know, it was like a positive time period. And even like the 2016 election, even though it was like, it was controversial, people were still enthusiastic. They were excited to get out there and vote and take part in politics. I'm not trying to go political with you here, but I'm just explaining. This time period when social media was really kicking off, people were excited and happy. They were just, it was just an interesting time period. But something happened around, the end of that decade, And I don't know, I think people's dopamine receptors were just like totally fried at this point. And since then, like, I don't know of anybody that's like, yep, the fucking 2020s, this is my time. These are my years. I'm really enjoying myself in this time period. You know, it's kind of an awkward, it's like we've hit a weird space and time. And I think the big reason why that is the case is because people have these almost parasocial relationships. Not necessarily parasocial, that means one-sided, like you're worshiping a celebrity, but instead, it's like both parties, they are like not serial monogamous, but serial pen pals on social media. So, you know, you'll meet one woman and the two of you will be texting for a month. Maybe you meet up, maybe you don't, but then like you just kind of ghost, flake, and forget, and then you move on to another. Like, I can't tell it, like, it's the oddest thing in the world to be like relaxing after dinner, watching a movie, and women just want to text you, you know, or like dudes want to text women. What's the point? You know, set up a date. The two of you could be on the couch together. You know, but in this new time period, that's the norm. Like, people, it's almost like men and women don't want or need each other anymore. They just maybe want to meet up for sex, but, you know, they can get all the validation, affection, and attention just through the social media. But I guess the reason why it hasn't affected me, and by the way, if you listen to a lot of older dating coaches that were around before social media, they'll tell you the same. They say the game's never changed. If anything, it's gotten easier. And a lot of the younger people will say, well, you just don't understand the younger generation. And that's where they're wrong. Because it's the younger generation that doesn't understand the physical steps involved. You know, we have a serious problem with, I would say, people like midway through the millennial generation and under, even in entertainment. Like, they made Tom Brady play football till he was 45. And I know a lot of people out there will say, well, he didn't want to retire. I guarantee you he wanted to retire. He didn't want to take a beating anymore. The league had nobody to replace him with. Okay, until Patrick Mahomes started to come along, they had nothing. They couldn't sell their product. They had to do whatever they could to keep Tom Brady there. They had to give Peyton Manning a TV show. And now that Tom Brady's too old to play, they got to put him on TV. Him being a broadcaster has been the centerpiece of NFL football. They don't have any younger people to really pass the torch to. You know, it's strange, but it's like there's no exciting leaders. There's nobody that's bold. They're so entrenched into social media. They're stuck in it. They can't pull themselves out. You see people in the music industry, like, geez, freaking Eminem came out with a CD this year. He's a 52-year-old freaking Midwest white dude still making freaking albums. The industry, they can't find anybody to come out and sell albums, you know. They have to bring these older people in to like keep the company going. I don't know, it's strange, but I think the younger people out there, can you name any under 35 leaders? Like, when you could be talking sports, like LeBron James still has to play. He's, 40, 41, gray beard. They have nobody to pass the torch to. There might be some good players, but it's not LeBron James. They don't have anybody to pass the torch to. You understand? Like, can you name anybody under the age of 35 who's like worldwide, it's like, yeah, that guy, that's a leader. You know, this guy really has his head on straight. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with young people. I'm just saying that there's something holding them back. And if you are a young person out there, you have to be aware that this is holding you back. And you can just fucking trailblaze your way to the front of the line if you understand that. And you just have to understand it's taking physical action. You know, it's stop overcomplicating things. You don't have to, in order to get recognized by women, you don't have to have pictures next to Ferraris, 20 hot bikini butt babes, pre-selection. You don't have to do all that. You just got to strike while the iron's hot and make your moves, follow those steps. That's how women get excited. That's how they get butterflies. When you ask a woman for her phone number, she gets butterflies. Even if you're ugly, it still excites her a little bit. You're bold, it makes her feel attractive. She's never going to call you, but it still excited her a little bit. And if you are somebody that she finds attractive, you know, you get her number, you set up that date. Now she's got more butterflies. You're on a date with her, you're having a good time. You know, you walk out of the bar and you sit on a park bench and you have your first kiss, more butterflies, you take her home. She's excited, she likes you. Before you know it, she's attached. And it's on. But that's how simple it is, you know, and that's kind of the way life works, not just relationships. Everything. You know, you get out there and you just say, all right, let's do it. But you don't want to get trapped in the social media universe. It's a great tool for people that understand how to take action. But when it's supplementing the fact that you're not taking action and it becomes the only action that you're taking, that's when you're going to be in trouble. All right, guys. Guess I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off. But last thing that I'll say is, always remember, time is of the essence. It's easy when you follow the steps, especially with women. Get the number, you set up the date, you escalate. You don't waste a bunch of time. You strike while the iron's hot. The excitement is never going to be higher than that first point where that spontaneity is at its peak. But all right, guys, I'll go ahead and shut this one off. Hope this video was somewhat informative to you. And that's about it for tonight, guys. Until next time, see ya. Happy 2025.